Hey, what's up guys? This is DarkM on the mic, and I'm back with more Persona 4 tutorial action, and I'm continuing my guide to Mitsuru, and this part of the tutorial is going to focus more on combos off of her stand B, and her crouching B, and jump B, stuff like that. And then later on in this section we'll get into hit confirms off of her Persona, or her D. And I'm going to show you different variations, some easy, some difficult. So yeah, let's get into the first variation off of stand B. Okay, so the first combo that I'm going to show, very basic. Fully charged stand B, like that. And then you're going to go into sweep, and then you're going to cancel the sweep into her B coup droid, like so. And I will provide annotations, I'll provide notations rather, for all the inputs that I do in these combos, and I will be sure to be specific when this needs to be fully charged. Against standing opponents, you have to fully charge this, otherwise it will not combo, as you can see. So, like in this situation as in many other situations, charging this all the way is very important, and if you don't do it, odds are the combo's probably going to drop eventually. So that's something to keep in mind. And again, very basic string. It's a must-have in a lot of her combos. So I'll show you the full thing one more time, and then we'll move on. Okay, so now we're going to get into some actual longer combos, some actual combos. So I'm going to show you the example first of what it looks like, and then I'll explain how it's broken down. So take a look at it. Okay, so that combo was kind of complicated, mostly because of the one more cancel. The one more cancel is kind of necessary because these three moves don't string together like that. Yeah, it won't combo no matter how hard you try. So you just have to make sure you have the bar for this. The canceling timing honestly is not that hard. It's pretty slow, and you have a lot of time to think about it. So that's the hardest part in this combo, I think, and everything else is pretty standard Mitsuru fare for her combos. And like most of her other combos, you can choose, instead of doing the last 1, 2, 3 like that, you can opt to end it and set up a mirror or something like that. And yeah, so that's basically all there is to say about that combo. It's a lot easier than it looks. It's a little tricky with the one more cancel if you're not paying attention, but it's more or less the only way to get extended damage off of this in the middle of the screen. And yeah, so that's that. I'll show you the combo one more time, and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay, now we're in the corner. I'm going to show you just a basic combo off the fully charged 5B in the corner. And this combo, pretty good damage, nets you about 4.7k. And yeah, so let's show the example first. So yeah, this is a your basic go-to big damage off of 5B in the corner. And one thing I want to say before I wrap this section up on 5B is, of course, that if you get a counter hit with this move, it's basically enough hits done, for you to do your business. So it's very unlikely that you'll ever get like a fully charged 5B and not get a counter hit. Because in this game, your opponent will most likely be pressing buttons, and you'll be using this to like space them out and stuff like that, with punish and stuff like that. So this also works again off of fatal counter 5B. But this, for the sake of examples, I'm just showing it off of non-counter hits. So yeah. And before we wrap this up, I'm going to show you a slightly greedier version of the corner bread and butter off of 5B. And it's more damaging, but a little bit more complicated. And so yeah, I'll just show it to you guys, and then we'll move on to 5B in the air, or jump B. So yeah, check it out. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about her jump B. It's a real good move, and you can also combo off of it in certain situations. And normally you wouldn't be able to do these combos if they were standing, only off of a counter hit. As you can see, if I do it, take off counter hit, I try it again. No matter how hard I try, it's not gonna work. I think off of a fully charged B, maybe. Yeah, off of a fully charged B, it will work still, but not as likely that you'll be able to get it. So generally, you'll probably want to save these situations for if you catch them when they're crouching, because then you don't have to really worry about charging the jump B beforehand. So yeah, that was just a little bit of technical shit, and get that out of the way. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you the first example of jump B hit confirm. It's pretty easy, so check it out. So yeah, the basic thing about the jump B bread and butters is you just have to make sure that you have charge set up for the ice mirror. And it's pretty easy because both the B and the C in the air, they don't really have a down variation. So you can just start buffering down from the moment you jump, and then you'll have plenty of time to charge when you land. And so yeah, that first variation is pretty straightforward. It's a little bit safer. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you another variation, and it does about 300 more damage, and it's a little bit greedier, but essentially it's the same combo. So we'll just take a look at that real quick. So yeah, there's that other variation, and basically the thing about that variation is that it adds a little bit more juggles and a little bit more stronger hits. So that's why it does more. But the starter is basically the same, and the ending is more or less the same. So that's more or less stuff that you'll probably want to know about catching people with the jump B. Again, more than likely you'll be counter hitting with this. So yeah, even if they're standing, it should probably work. Just make sure that you know whether you got a counter hit or not. And again, the hardest part is just storing the charge. So it just takes a little bit of practice with Mitsuru. Once you get used to using her, you'll probably be holding charge almost all the time anyway. So yeah, that's combos off of her jump B. And now we're going to go into hit confirms off of her crouch B. Okie dokie. So now we're going to go into combos off of her crouch B. And this is a pretty good anti-air for her. It's air unblockable. And I was going to make a section about hit confirming off of this. But more often than not, you're going to be just doing this. So I figure I'll just include, you know, everything into just one section off of the crouch B. Because it not only is it a little hard to hit with this, but you're almost always going to be hit confirming into this anyway. So yeah. That being said, this is also another chargeable move, and you could probably use it to throw off people's attempts to jump at you. If they think that they're got the timing of this down, you could delay it a little bit, and it does a little bit more damage. This on counter hit is pretty brutal, and it sets up for some really great stuff. But for the sake of the example, we're gonna just do regular crouch B. So I'll show you variation number 1, and it's really easy. and take a look. Okay, so yeah, pretty standard again, juggling for Mitsuru. And this is a combo that you'll probably end up going to a lot, especially if you're playing against people that, you know, like to rush down and are going to be in the air a lot. So, good combo to know. It's pretty stress-free, I think. You don't really have to think too hard about it, so long as you practice. And now I'll show you a very slightly harder BnB with the same startup and everything. So take a look. Okay, so that variation again, slightly harder, and it's just like the jump B variation. It's basically incorporating slightly harder timing, slightly harder hitting moves, and the resulting is a little bit more extra damage. And again, I want to point out that you can always cancel these early. You can always end it a little earlier with like the sweep, and then set up Oki with the ice mirror instead if you don't want to. Or if you have the meter, you can also set up like a EX ice mirror or something like that. And it's totally up to you what you want to do. Just make sure that you direction the Coop Droid correctly so that you get the proper spacing. If you're in the middle of the screen, you want to hold forward so that the ice mirror appears at the distance where it'll basically appear on top of them afterwards. So, and of course, you could always end, you know, with the C Bufudyne, the C Ice Super. So those are all just options that you can add on if you feel like you want to. The extra damage, honestly, not too much worth it, but if it kills, then why not? So yeah, just some stuff to think about. And now we're going to go into a corner variation for the anti-air crouching B. This is a great combo for punishing chicken jumpers in the corner. And one of the reasons I like it also is that it's very, very easy to do. There's almost like no chance that this will drop if you've used Mitsuru at all. So, and it's great because you get a free relaunch that's like, and you get 2 Coop Droids in there. Anytime you can get like an early Coop Droid and then another Coop Droid at the end, you know that you got yourself a pretty nice bread and butter right there. So that's the strengths of this combo, I think, is that it combines a lot of hard-hitting moves and very easy execution. The pickup with the 2A, 2B, honestly, it's very, very easy. And because you're crouching already, you're already holding charge for the Buffalo. So there's almost zero possibility that this will ever drop. And again, you can tack on a super at the end if you feel like it, but just make sure that you time the cancel to get the proper spacing for Oki. And yeah, so that's basically it for the 2B anti-air. There are other possibilities, but a lot of them are situational. These are kind of the all-around situations. So now to wrap it up, we're gonna briefly touch upon the D attack or her persona attack. So let's get into that. Okay, so now we're gonna go into her D or her persona attack, which is the Ice Whip. And as I stated before in an earlier video, the range on this, a little picky. You can't just walk up to them point blank like this. So you have to be a certain distance away. But the trade-off is that, especially for the grounded version, you can actually still follow up. The lag after it is not that long at all if you don't pull them in. And the range on her movable stand B is pretty large. So even if you're considerably far away, it'll still combo. So let's get into the first variation, which involves a pull-in. Yeah, so there you have it. Pretty simple and good damage. and it works mid-screen, of course, or you could be in the. It works like mid-full screen. Pretty straightforward. And because you're pulling them in, you know, it's pretty easy. I mean, the spacing is like just right for her and her juggling. So this is a combo that I would love to get if I ever hit it. Now I'll show you a slightly riskier version of this right now. Does about 400 more damage, so may or may not be worth it, but check it out anyway. So there you have it. Pretty much the same combo again, like some of those other versions. Just a little bit more riskier juggling and adding in those little extra hits. And so now we're going to move on to a different version, which involves not pulling them in and involves a one more cancel. So if you remember what we did earlier with that one more cancel, it's basically the same thing, except we hit confirm it off of that instead. So check out the example first. Yeah, so there you go. And this is a pretty interesting combo because you not pull them in, which does scale the combo pretty hard in terms of damage and whatnot. So it's actually not a bad combo if you have the meter to do it. It's pretty flashy too. Again, it's more or less the same boom, boom, boom like that. And so if you know how to do this combo, then you'll know how to do this combo like that. And it's not very fast, and so you don't have to panic when you do this. And like I said, because the 5B reaches so far, you can hit confirm this from a pretty decent size of the screen away. You don't have to be at the max. You don't have to be at the minimum range for this for it to work, which is pretty useful. And on top of that, the damage is also very nice. It's 4,000. Okay, and so the last variation I'm going to show you off of 5D is something close to the corner. And we all know that Mitsuru loves the corner. So why don't you check out the example first, and I'll talk about it afterwards. So yeah, this variation, pretty good in the corner. You don't have to use meter for it because you get every time you get this in the corner, you get a free pickup off of the 5A, or the 2A. Something like that. You get the idea. And if they're near the corner, this is one of those times where holding the direction on the spear is a little important, because if you say they're like around here, and yeah, and say I didn't hold towards, I probably wouldn't have ended up in the corner. I probably would have ended up like, yeah, you see how when you hold back like that, she doesn't really fly that much. She doesn't fly forward with the opponent, so I wouldn't have been able to follow up. So just something to keep in mind when you're near the corner and stuff like that. Sometimes that can make the difference in whether you can combo or not. Let's see, what's some other things about this combo? Oh, yeah, the other tricky part is at the end, because you get normally you would go bam, 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 like that. But because of the scaling in this combo, you have to basically go from that to that. So as soon as you do the second ice mirror, you should probably already be holding back and starting holding your charge. Otherwise, it won't combo properly. You can also get a super on this at the end if you choose, but the timing is a little tight. So you'll probably have to work on that on your own if you want to get it consistently. But other than that, not very different from what you would do in the corner, I think. The only difference is the omitting the sweep at the end and just doing this. But it's still good because even if you don't spend meter, the knockdown on the B Coup Droid gives you pretty decent frame advantage even if you don't super. So yeah, that's that combo, and I'm going to wrap it up with one final combo off for Jump D. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to touch on in this section is her jumping persona attack. Diagonally down whip, like that. And it's similar to the overhead combo where you launch them up in the air like that, because if you pull them in, it knocks them up in the air, and you have pretty decent hit stun on it, honestly. And then you can continue into other stuff. So I'm gonna show you like an all-purpose BnB you can get off of this, and then I'll explain it afterwards. So yeah, that bread and butter, not the easiest bread and butter because of the awkward juggling. The key is going to be spacing the stand B, either going forward or backwards. And I want you to keep in mind that while you can directional it like this, you can also kind of put on the brakes a little bit. And what I mean by that is you can hold one direction and then switch to the other direction, and then she'll like move to the left but not all the way to the left. So you notice that there's a definite difference in her step size. So being able to manipulate that stand B, depending on how far or how close you are when you do this, is going to be key for the juggles to be consistent. And it's something that you're just going to have to learn on your own. You're going to have to be able to eyeball it and react and say, okay, I need to adjust such and such a way, depending on the character and the situation. Because, yeah, the characters are all different sizes too, so that also matters. But other than that, nothing to it. You'll recognize pretty much all the other strings in this combo once you get going. Pretty easy. And let's see, I think that about wraps up this section and stuff that I wanted to cover. And the next chapter, or the next part in this chapter, I guess, will be kind of wrapping up the tutorial as a whole. And we'll get into some combos with her Awakening Super and some other Fatal Counter combos, stuff like that. Some nice big damage. But until then, thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. And hope you guys learned something from this. And then tune in next time. This is DarkM, and take it easy.